favorite. And you can tell it's setting up for that based on the double top on the 15-minute. And it's also grinding towards the high at the open. That's exactly what you're looking for. So you know that's coming toward that setup. And it's not to say that Snowflake didn't have good news and didn't have some reason for bullish sentiment, trying to hold above the 50 period and close above it a couple of days in a row after a strong base. But let's remember, this is a ridiculously overpriced stock still. Like I don't want to look at its forward P because I'll probably throw up if I look at the forward P of Snow. It's probably still over 100 without even checking. So yes, it's gotten off the bottom, but a lot of that has to do with how far it's fallen. When a stock has come down from $400 to $100, rallying 25 or 30% is not very difficult. That's why you get these impressive bear market rallies. On a percent basis, sure, it's a great move. But for people that are holding the bag, it's completely meaningless and useless. Like if you were long at 250, who cares if it went from 110 to 130? Like you're just as screwed as far as you're concerned as you were before. So that only benefits people buying at the absolute lows. And so you have to take them with a grain of salt. And that's why I've sort of been preaching, I want to see something like this take out the next level. See when it fell apart at 160 here after having a double bottom, and then that was resistance? Well, you want to see this closing above 160, above that 50-period moving average, and then it can make another leg up. Go look at Li Auto's chart. It did that, and then it got back towards some highs. That's actual strength instead of just a little tiny relief rally, which is what you've had in Snowflake.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about it, but I see you mentioned in the chat as well, talking about forward Ps. Shopify is a name I know. I think it has a P ratio above 300 or something like that. P ratio about $1 per share, trading at 350 at the moment. This is a name that's going to do a 10-for-1 split, or is it a 1-for-10 split? I forget the ratio was, but you're going to have Shopify pretty much at the current price being $35. If you have one share, you're going to have 10 when you wake up in the morning. I think it was might have been Friday this week, if I remember, or sometime this week or next week, if I recall correctly. But this is another name that's been beat down quite a bit, and I really like the point that you mentioned there. For a lot of the bag holders that have been holding, at these names, these tech names, back buying in at, first half of 2021 or even the latter half of 2021, it's pretty much meaningless whether or not this stock goes up 10%, 20%, because your unrealized loss goes from negative 60 to negative, 55. That's not too big of a difference. You're not really tempted to sell and get out of the losses, still seeing a huge red number. But just speaking back on some of your trading strategies, I absolutely agree. You don't really want to try to predict the reversal before it happens, but trading the trend is something that absolutely I think is something I've been learning, since I've joined Day Trade the World and Trader TV. I guess I'm not technically joining Trader TV, but since I've
yeah, you are.
Okay, well, I'm the bell ringer here. But since I joined you guys here at the company,
you've got a segment, Tony.
I got a segment. You're right. What am I saying? But I think trading the trend has to be the most important thing you can do in day trading. It's really hard. The vast majority of people can't do it. I certainly couldn't do it for a very, very long time until I started seeing other people, do the very thing I was so scared of, and they were very successful in doing it. Things like, adding into winners, and selling out of your losers immediately, having a stop loss. It's an instinctive reaction to me, at least, where I'm always, hunting for a nice bargain. I see something like the Qs down 2%, and instinctively I go, wow, what a nice discount. Especially if this was like a new, daily low. If I see this printing new lows every 5 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, quick, I got to do the bank transfer. I'm going to buy some shares of the Qs. What a great price this is. And I'll just be down like, another 5% next week or something like that. I was loading into the Qs, the rest of the markets as well back in January, February, March, April. I just see lower prices and I'm just too tempted to buy, which I think it's for a long-term play, it's absolutely fine to buy into index funds no matter what the price is. But that being said, if your time horizon something like, minutes, or an hour or something like that, even for a swing trader, going against the trend seems to be, it just doesn't work out in a very, in very good sense. Think about like owning a business or something like that, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you start seeing more customers come in, and your business is growing. Your instinctive reaction tends not to be, oh, quick, I got to sell the business. Otherwise, the customers might leave, and I can't, I can't sell the business for as much as I can anymore. I think, if that were to happen, I think the mindset most people would have would be like, wow, something changed about the economy, or something changed about the business. Somehow I'm starting to drive more customers. This is a great positive thing. I believe that if the trend is that I'm getting more and more customers every week, I'll probably be growing this business really, really quickly. naturally don't really bet against the reversal, but when you see the price action, you see the profit, it's just too tempting to go against the trend at times, or when you see the profit, you just want to take it, and when you see the red numbers, just keep adding to it, dollar cost averaging. But going in favor of the trend, I think, is the most powerful thing that I've learned. You see the Qs making new intraday lows, just short it. New intraday highs, add to it, buy it. I think buying intraday highs, selling intraday lows, that has to be the number one strategy I have for trading. At least that's a new strategy I've been learning here, and I have not been a very good trader before I've been here. I think this certainly helped my trading, just learning from the strategies of a lot of the great traders we have over here. Prad, Luca, Ian taught me quite a few things, so always grateful for them.
That's what you got to do if you want to. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I tried to hit the stack up the cash, guys. Did it work? I didn't see it. Yeah, well, I did try to hit it. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I see it. If that happened twice, maybe I'm just going crazy. I got gray hairs. I'm old, man. But look, it's fantastic advice. And to prove that point, here's AGRX, which has been just trending to the upside since the open. And yes, it's had significant pullbacks, but I always come down to this. If you look at when this really accelerated, and again, it had a consolidation off the bottom that we took advantage of. But really, this trade on volume, when it broke $2, is when everything started going ham. And if you look at the biggest volume candles, it's when it broke 2 and it's when it broke 250. And if you have a quick look-see, at the trend of the stock since doing that, well, it's held $2 support since then. And a lot of times I'd be thinking about where should I be short, and I've had the other attitude here, which is if I thought on the daily chart the significant turnaround should either be $3 or $3.50, and until we test that or until we fail $2, then I only want to be long the stock. And maybe that's going to miss, you're going to miss some obvious scalping opportunities because I could have scalped short at 270, got back into the long at 230. I could have scalped short now. Again at 275, maybe got back in. Yeah, I'm going to miss some of those. But you know what? I'm not going to miss the long opportunities if I'm only looking long. And sometimes you've just got to be able to do that. This stock feels like it's absolutely headed for this triple top breakout. I'll continue to buy the dips. If it fails this time, I'll probably wait for VWAP because, buying at 250 has been pretty good, but it's been basically telling you it wants to test lower than that. So I feel the next time it dips down, I'll probably wait for 230. I'm always holding a small piece of it in case we run those highs and I miss the breakout. But this stock has just been super strong when nothing else really is. Like if we're honest, nothing is all that great. And I want to come back because a lot of people asked about Coinbase or have been talking about Coinbase. And okay, yeah, I got out of Coinbase too early. Both Sean and I like Coinbase short at 58 to 59. Well, guess what? You're not getting short at 58 to 59 today. It popped. But look at that setup. Well, wait a minute. It tried to break the high of the day and failed. Tried to break the high of the day and failed. So what setup do I like? That happened once again here. But we got the 55 short, and that was simply looking at when it took out yesterday's lows. And I did at least hold some of it down to 52. It did make that massive flush, and now we've already gone to $50. I just didn't think it was going to be this bad in the overall market. So sometimes you can have the right direction and not even believe that you can see the prices that end up coming in here. That's what happened on Coinbase. 55, the next even dollar level is obviously 50. On the daily chart, room to 45, which is your actual all-time low on Coinbase. But 50 is a monster round number. We get to that price. I don't know if I want to stick in the bid on Coinbase at $50. I'll be thinking if the futures are making fresh lows and breaking lows, I'll probably just try to scalp the short. If somehow we're catching a bid in the market, maybe you can take a 50 long. But Coinbase, I think it did hit SSR. It got really, really close to it there, short sell restricted. So it did. It says yes, so it must have hit 10% at some point. But that was one where you had to accept that you weren't getting the short off resistance at 58, and the only thing to do was to hammer that breakdown at yesterday's low. Exactly what could have been done on reversing on Disney. You could have had that trade. Could have just taken that trade on Nike at 10 o'clock instead of sort of getting away from it. Sometimes it's just about it breaking down. Tons of stops were at that 55 price, so it wasn't that hard to think about shorting there.
Coinbase, interesting name here, down close to 10% today, almost short sales restricted, I believe you were saying. This name was, I believe, $64 last Friday, but quick turnaround this week as we had, I guess, just 25% above the all-time lows over at 40. Again, crazy to think that a name like Coinbase, very well known in everyone's minds, is down about almost 90% from the all-time highs when it just IPO'd. I saw it hit above the 400 level for a short duration there right after the IPO. I think consolidated around the 300s, the 200s, and now more recently recent times, in more recent months, just absolutely crumbling. Coinbase, I think, gotten a bit too ahead of itself with the expenses. Recent times, I've been hearing news Coinbase laying off 18% of its workforce, looking to manage some costs. People are saying layoffs being very bullish for Coinbase. I think Coinbase also has pretty good goodwill value in terms of its assets. Just all the marketing it does, I think it's a bio candidate, people are saying, for some of the larger banks that want to sort of enter into the crypto space. But yeah, down 90% or close to it, 87%, I'd say, from the very highs. A name to be day traded, but at the moment, if you're a long-term holder for this, I think it's got to be careful holding this thing into the next coming months. Higher interest rates for at least a year and a half is what bond periods are pricing, probably a lot longer than that as we try to control inflation a little bit. So for a lot of these growth companies, Coinbase included, just not very delicious, not very appetizing, unfortunately. This current market. AGRX, I think we just hit a triple top on this name right over here, unfortunately. I was hoping we might break towards $3, as some people were talking about in the chat, but this looks like a name that's tried once, twice, 3 times. So hopefully that charm, unfortunately, doesn't look like it as we're fading a little bit back down towards the downside. Still up 110% for the day. So AGRX definitely a runner here, but unfortunately, if this fades this third time around, I just think the momentum will not be there anymore for Power Hour. So if this can test the 4th time and breaks right through the 280 level, that'd be really exciting. I think if we break 280, $3 is definitely on the horizon. But unfortunately, even as the markets, I think now are not really printing new daily lows, AGRX kind of just holding on to this level, but not quite breaking above it, unfortunately. I did see somebody mention in the chat, what do you think about holding cash in this current economy? It's interesting, actually, to think about, when you think about inflation, you think that everyone's trying to get rid of their cash. Yet at the same time, you have financial assets just absolutely plummeting in more recent times as well as inflation. It's like, food prices going up, prices of my stocks, unfortunately, which I can go in the same direction, unfortunately not. And so it's also fascinating to consider, I think, real assets versus financial assets. This was something I was reading the other day. I think somebody online was talking about a boat he purchased back late last year, October, November, and seeing that, he was concerned, hearing headlines about the market crashing, stocks now tanking quite a bit. And he goes online, looks at the prices of boats, and he's making a nice 10, 15% return on the boat he bought at the peak of the tech bubble. And so I think that kind of just highlights the difference between, a lot of these speculative financial assets versus so-called real assets that don't pay a dividend, they don't have earnings, but they provide some sort of reasonable value, and you always have people kind of interested. I don't know if you can quite compare a yacht to something like an NFT or something like a Bitcoin, obviously. I think in a way it's like those aren't real assets. I feel as though they're more like a financial asset in a way, if you can even consider it that. But, the price of a lot of these real goods, especially like coins as well. I think coins have taken a little bit of a hit. But, I was just talking to Dan earlier as well. He's been talking about the watch market for a lot of these Rolexes. You can't get a discount on those things. So a lot of these collectibles, this price is still sky high.
It's crazy.
I know. It's like...
Dan's the only reason I even have one expensive watch.
He inspired you to get that one.
So anybody that knows me, I'm not a flashy person. I don't spend on a lot of things. Like I don't wear expensive jewelry. Like my wedding ring is tungsten. So it's as cheap as you can get. It's like indestructible too. But so I'm not into that. But I was on vacation, and this is after like my first big paycheck as a day trader. So my first time I had a big month. Like I won't say, but it was. I was happy, and I went on vacation for the first time. So I'm down in the Caribbean, and I'm in a jewelry store. And my girlfriend at the time, I was buying her something, and I see these nice watches. I'm like, man, these look really nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy's like, this is like it's one of the James Bond watches. This tag. So I don't know anything about watches. I call up Dan, who's at the office. He's my partner at the time. With Sean, we owned our own trading floor. And I said, hey, look, this is what I'm looking at. What do you think? He goes, that's a great watch. What's the price? And when I told him, he says, that's 40 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
He goes, buy 3 of them, and I'll. So seriously, he's like, he said, buy 3 of them, and it'll pay for the one that you keep. I was like, well, how do I get it back in the country? I have to pay duty on it. So I didn't do that because I'm too honest. I just bought the one and kept it for myself, and I wear it as a reminder. Essentially, it's just a reminder to myself that, I'm not a flashy guy. I wear it for good luck as trading, but just always keep me grounded. It's like a good luck charm for myself. But it was good advice. I kind of wish I had bought a few and made some money off of it. But before we go to Brendan, just to get back to trading for a quick second here, I want to point AMC out. not a lot of stocks that are back at VWAP here, and AMC just tried to reclaim VWAP, but it failed at that 1380 price. 1380 is where we were going long successfully off this yesterday in the afternoon on AMC, and it had that good run and actually had some support down there. But until we get back above that price, I don't really love the long. It failed exactly where it had support at yesterday, which is not a very bullish sign, despite the fact it's showing some signs of relative strength. Brendo?
Two things. TCAT, TKAT, that's actually the right chart, Randy. Good job. TKAT is an NFT name, halted news pending right now. So this was doing nothing all day long and just halted news pending. So there's that. Rivian just made a day low. There was a note from Electrek suggesting Rivian's going to get into e-bikes and e-scooters. I mean, listen, for someone who lives downtown Toronto, I actually don't mind that news if it's going to look like an R1T for an e-bike and e-scooters coming for Rivian, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily really bad news. TKAT was a halt.
Wow.
This
NFT play.
Yeah, it's got like no volume. This stock used to trade more volume than that. I'm a little surprised to see there's no vol on that thing. So, yeah, I mean, if there's no volume, I don't want to touch it. But AGRX, and I hate to come back to the stock over and over again, but it keeps having these crazy volume spikes. It just had another one. Sorry, I was on my 15-minute chart there, and I have to zoom back in on my 3. But it just had another spike down, so it's rejected that top. I've said to you guys, I want to wait until it gets to VWAP for any more buys on this thing. I don't want to be chasing it too far. This market just took another low. That puts Coinbase 50 back into play. Definitely want to be all over that if we get down there. Tesla, I may have given that one up too early, but that's a breakdown trade. If I take a breakdown trade, that's not like I'm holding it to the close. I'm picking a stop. In this case, I gave you 702.50 and then got out there. I'm now flat on the day in Tesla. I gave up what I made on the long trade when we scalped it. But if this does go lower, 700 was that line in the same. You just had to hold it a few levels against you there. 680 on Tesla. Monster level for Tesla if it gets down to 680. I don't think it'll happen. Right now, what's really going on, if we go to the futures here, is you're in almost complete breakdown, like you've taken out the support on the Nasdaq that was below that 12,000 level, and you don't see a heck of a lot here for a couple hundred points, unfortunately. Like I was about to say, like you actually have some support, but that's over on the ES. Like the ES still has, S&P 500 still has some support potentially at that 3,800. The Nasdaq, on the other hand, now there's really not much of anything. So if we're going to catch any kind of a bounce here, I think it's going to come from the S&P 500 around this 3,800 level. Otherwise, yeah, we're in some serious trouble here in the overall market. The trend yet to break.
All right, so the TKAT news, guys, looks like a 30 million notional share sale, or 15,789,000, whatever it is, 400 and change. So a share sale coming apparently for TKAT.
Oh, geez, that's not good news. If B had rallied like several 100% off them canceling a share offering, while selling on shares obviously is going to bring it down quite a bit, I think. I'm not sure if this was pre-planned or some sort of a shelf offering, if it was pre-registered, but yeah, I don't think that'd be good news. See what happens when it opens. Crazy.
Down is my guess. And I see you guys, and I appreciate. We have no issues. Like I'm not in a lot of trades here. I'm holding on to Robinhood, which I haven't gone over. I just think if the market continues flushing, I don't understand why Robinhood's not already at 850, 860. Yet it's somehow holding up here, but I have no reason to get out of it. And then AGRX we've gone over. Just because we're looking at both of these, AMC versus GameStop yesterday, I'll point out once again that GameStop is relatively weak. For anyone that is looking at this thing, AMC always stronger the last little bit here. So any kind of spike on AMC and it rejects that price, that was actually an opportunity to just go short on GME, and I'll probably play it the same way. If AMC breaks out and we get past that 80 price, 1380, then I'll be looking for any kind of reversal. If it gets to 15, let's say, I'll be looking for reversals on GameStop, not on AMC. Only want to be long that stock if I'm playing the meme names. I want to go back over to, if I can, well, I haven't shown you Robinhood, but I will go over to this name just very, very briefly. The trend has been pretty good, and my stop I'll have to adjust. I don't know why I have such I don't need that aggressive of a stop order when it's that far in the money. But this has been giving it up the entire day, and it has broken the opening range low and tried to recover above it. But unless this threatens above $2, I'm just hanging on. I was able to get top wick, and I'm going to tell you, this is it's going to look like a fluke to have this top wick. But if you remember the halt and then the reopen yesterday, so it broke at 845, halted at 896, reopened and tested at 970. And if you go back and watch what I was sort of telling you guys, I got out everything, almost everything right here in that 935 to 940 range. And it's hard to tell on a 1 or a 3 minute chart, but all these wicks, almost meaningless when it reopened. All of the actual liquidity was here, was between 25 and 50, and it was right in that pocket. And the reason why you can tell that's legit, because what happens when it bounces off the halt price and comes back there again? That same place where there was liquidity in the vacuum at the open, that's exactly where the sellers were again, right at about 925 to 950, stalling out at 935. So you fast forward to today, when essentially Sam Bankman-Fried's like, what are you talking about? We're not that, there's nothing going on. We're not buying them. There's no interest, blah, blah, blah. And where do I want the short? I want it where they were selling on that spike up, where when there was a vacuum in liquidity, where did people feel comfortable making a price? And it was right there in that 25 to 50 range. It made one move into there, rejected that price altogether, and has been falling ever since. Can't say it enough. Liquidity vacuums are a fantastic opportunity for you to find good price levels. Because essentially what happens is all of the algos stop making a market, which is what they do. Mostly algos making markets these days. They stop doing that when there's flash news or a halt or something like that. And then all of a sudden you get a liquidity vacuum. And then only like the big boys or people supremely confident with a big order flow, they'll come in and then go in certain prices. And when they pick that price to sell, and that's the rejection of the move, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they got it all done? Do you think they'll still like selling at that price? If you have to guess, I'm going to guess yes, because what else do you have to go off of? And then that's how you can sometimes get these ridiculously good-looking top wicks. Now, granted, I could have had this trade, could have broken 50 and I'm out, but I'll still take that trade 10 times out of 10 because yesterday it showed me when no one wanted to bid or offer that stock, they darn sure were comfortable with that price area. So when it gets there, that's your option to sell. And if you're long this morning, that's where you want to take profit as well. So, these are a good learning opportunity for you. Do not ignore these halt prices. Even day 2, day 3, they can be significant. I remember when GameStop and AMC were halting all the time, when DWAC was doing it, you could use the same logic to find yourself some good entry points and exits. So never try to sleep on those.
Yes, absolutely. Never try to sleep on any of that. Robinhood yesterday, wow, fascinating spike. I think high of day was 972 yesterday. Now pulling back a little bit towards the $8.80 level, I think, or if not a little bit lower than that. Sam Bankman-Fried saying that no, he's not trying to buy Robinhood. But again, I think just the thought that he might buy it or if somebody else might buy Robinhood, becomes a real possibility. A lot of shorts covering their positions now. I think Goldman Sachs I think it might have been Goldman Sachs yesterday saying that they upgraded Robinhood to a buy. So I guess decent call there. Beginning of the day yesterday after the news came out yesterday towards the close of the day. Decent call over there. I think at the moment markets are continuing trying to move lower, trying to break a low of day. I think I got out of my short positions there on that candle. Unfortunately, should have held a little bit longer as we may just be breaking new lows of days shortly. But at the moment, I think that was a decent scalp moment. I'm just trying to make some very short trades over here. So far doing a decent job at it. For instance, when I see like 2 red candles towards downside and I see like a green candle up, I think that is my signal to get out of it. Perhaps the trend's changing. Perhaps we're going to see some more green candles or blue in my case. And that's what usually when I see a trend change, a reversal perhaps, my way of doing it. And then, that's when I start closing a position at the end of this candle here when it's going to be confirmed a green candle. That's when I get out. The same is true when, I see 2 greens or 2 or more, I should say, and then, suddenly a red candle, the end of a streak there. So at the end of this candle, I personally like to then go short. Here on this shooting star, I've been trying to, I decided to cover there a little bit too early maybe, but now I think might be seeing a little bit more buying pressure as well. So that's pretty much my scalp strategy. Learning more about options. I thought the only trade that there was with options is just blindly buying calls and puts if you think the stock's price is going to go up or down. But I think a lot of these trades, I think I would call them level 0 options if you're hedging them fully with cash or with your securities. You can sell something like a 250 strike on the Stitch Fix put and earn a solid 4 cents per share, $4. But that's not a bad yield, I don't think. That's almost like 2% in the span of around 2 months. So you compound that, it ends up being something like a solid 20% or 25% over the course of a year. And you could say that Stitch Fix, likely wouldn't fall over 50% by August. So you can sell something like this put and generate a nice yield.